New evidence reveals a fifth child dead in a Johnston County murder case. Why police now want to search this home for signs of blood hidden under the paint.
Then a high-speed chase ends in a crash. Speeds reach 120 miles per hour. 2 people are dead. What we know about the investigation.
We're off to a chilly start, but another warm-up is on the way. I'm timing out this week's temperature roller coaster and when we could finally see some rain.
Tonight, we are starting the newscast with a terrible story involving young people. A 120-mile-per-hour car chase, alcohol, drugs, and guns found in the vehicle, ending in a deadly crash so loud and violent it woke up people living nearby. This was in Wayne County, and the people inside that car were teenagers.
2 of them dead, 2 of them in the hospital. WRAL's Destiny Patterson has that story.
Tire marks and damaged trees remain after a car crash, killing 2 teens.
I didn't really see anything until I heard the boom.
This neighbor didn't want to share her name or her face on camera, but she says the police lights let her know something was wrong.
I heard somebody holler, and I knew there had to be a wreck.
We can still see car parts here in the daylight hours just off of this road here in Wayne County. This is where neighbors say that chase ended in a crash. State troopers say the driver lost control, hitting a tree near Kinley. 2 passengers died in the crash, 18-year-old Joshua Carter Jr. and 16-year-old Braylon Newsom.
I got 2 ejected, unresponsive.
The crash, the end of a chase through parts of Johnston and Wayne counties. State troopers caught the driver going more than 120 miles per hour. When they tried to pull the car over, the driver wouldn't stop.
I keep blacking out, and then turn the lights back on and black out again.
Troopers say they also found alcohol, marijuana, and guns in the car. I asked State Highway Patrol why they continued pursuing the vehicle and what charges the teens in custody could face and what mechanisms were used to try to stop the chase safely. They didn't answer my questions, but you can hear troopers discuss different methods to end the chase over Broadcastify radio traffic.
The lights did not hit.
If he drops down below 55 and you get a chance, Phil.
I also went through their policies to find that speeders and suspected impaired drivers are considered higher priority.
We just hate it for the families. That's the saddest part.
Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Wayne County.
The driver and the surviving passenger are expected to face charges. Troopers have not released their names.
This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center. A deadly crash has closed I-95 northbound in Harnett County. You're looking at a picture from the WRAL breaking news tracker taken just a little while ago of that scene. All northbound lanes are blocked and have been blocked since about 4 o'clock this afternoon with this crash. I want to show you the latest sensor readings from that area on I-95 northbound, and right now we are seeing delays beginning just before you get to the Harnett-Cumberland County line. The road is closed at Bud Hawkins Road, and apparently this is still an active scene. As we get new information, we will let you know.
Okay, Brian. Well, Kat, another night in the 30s. The temperature really swings quickly after the sun sets this time of year.
We're already down in the 40s, Ashley, and it's going to be pretty cold tonight. Some of us are even going to wake up to temperatures in the 20s. 29 tonight in Roxborough, I should say in Rocky Mount, 27 in Roxborough, 30 in Durham, 33 for Raleigh and Fayetteville. When you wake up in the morning, these are going to be the temperatures right around sunrise. We will warm up a bit throughout the day, though. 65 the high, and that's still technically above our normal high of 63 tomorrow. And then the 70s return, 73 Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, 77 could come within 2 degrees of the record high of 79 degrees. We're really warming back up, and that means for the Raleigh Christmas Parade Saturday at 9:30, it'll be 63 degrees already. The downside to this is warm weather is often wetter weather this time of year, and there could be some rain Saturday. I'll have a closer look at our next rainmaker coming up.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kat. Meantime, we're going to get you caught up on the other big headlines. These are the 5 things you should know right now. The man behind the wheel of the deadly crash during the 2022 Raleigh Christmas Parade will be behind bars for more than 8 months. Landon Glass pleaded guilty in court today, admitting fault in the crash that killed 11-year-old Haley Brooks. He's expected to be released in early August. A 4-year-old boy has serious injuries after accidentally shooting himself. Police say it happened this morning at a home on Greenbrier Road in Durham. Investigators say the child got a hold of an unsecured gun. The scene cleared not long ago after officers had been there all day. A man already convicted on state charges in the 2022 killing of Deputy Ned Byrd has pleaded guilty to separate federal charges. Alder Maureen Sotelo entered a guilty plea for an escape charge and illegal possession of a firearm, the one he was accused of and used in the murder. Sotelo is already serving a life sentence on the murder conviction.
A Wake Med police officer was buried today. Roger Smith was honored with a procession along Glenwood Avenue before a funeral at Providence Church in Raleigh. Police say Officer Smith was shot inside the emergency department at the Wake Med Garner Healthplex last week. He was a Wake Med officer for 12 years. Before that, he spent 16 years with the Knightdale Police. A new executive order aims to restore benefits to veterans kicked out of the military for not taking the COVID vaccine. It orders federal agencies to identify veterans who are removed because of the vaccine rule and restore certain benefits to them. Veterans Affairs says more than 8,000 service members were removed during the Biden administration for not complying with vaccine mandates.
New video tonight shows the moments investigators brought the father accused of killing his 4 children back to the scene of the crime. This was on October 31st. Wellington Dickens III was brought back to the house because a 5th child was found buried in the backyard.
It's pretty grim to see this. A neighbor took this video and shared it with WRAL. We're told that child that you mentioned was just 1 month old. The baby's name was Riley. WRAL's Eric Miller dug into the warrants to uncover what else we can learn about the family and the suspect.
One neighbor tells me that police have come back to the scene of the crime, this home here on Springtooth Drive, again and again. She says it's happened so often, she's almost used to it. She says she and her family, they've in particular seen investigators focusing on those trees out there, that wood line, sometimes with shovels in hand, sometimes with other tools. And warrants are now revealing that those searches so far have come up empty. Those warrants say Wellington Dickens III and his wife had Riley, their other child, around the same time they moved into this home on Springtooth Drive. That would have been about the middle of 2023, according to property records. According to the warrants, Dickens told investigators that Riley passed away at just a month old after declining health. Dickens then said he buried the baby in a 4-foot deep grave somewhere behind the house in the woods. According to the warrants, family members told investigators they heard nothing about Riley after the child's birth. For one man, the father of Dickens' stepson, he says he had no idea the child was born, lived, or died.
I had no clue that, what kind of man he was. He's not even a man. I can't even say that. What kind of monster he was. I had no idea.
Now, the warrants are also revealing here tonight that much of the inside of this home right here had recently been repainted, and that Dickens had been searching the internet for a kind of paint capable of covering up stains. Investigators now want to go back in this home and spray down the walls with a chemical that could reveal blood hidden under that paint. In Johnston County, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
Oh, there's so much heavy news in this newscast tonight. So they have not found the baby, but they do know because of those warrants and the conversations that the baby was buried there. They've been looking for that. As I said, a lot of heavy news and some important news as well happening in Charlotte. Have you been paying attention to the immigration enforcement situation there? Tons of videos online. A local professor says the big legal question here isn't the who, it's the how.
I don't think this is actually about the who can be removed or who can't be removed. I think the real question these enforcement actions are raising is how can the government go about doing this?
After 130 arrests in Charlotte, we talk about what people in our area should know if immigration enforcement turns its eye to the triangle.
First, let's take a look ahead at some of the news stories we're keeping an eye on for you this week. A huge vote expected out of the U.S. House tomorrow. They will decide whether to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. President Trump urged Republicans to vote for it, a reversal from his previous position. On Wednesday, the First Lady and Second Lady will visit North Carolina. They will spend time with military members at Camp Lejeune.
On Thursday, we're finally getting the September jobs report. It was delayed because of the government shutdown. Friday is the deadline to send in your ideas for a new baseball team in Zebulon. A new team will play in 5-county stadium. You can name it, and you have fun with it. Send your ideas on the Coastal Plain League website. We're back after the break.
Welcome back to the WRAL Live Center, where we are tracking some breaking news in the mountains. An uncontained wildfire right now in Avery County. This is from the Forest Service website, and that fire is right here in the center of the screen. That's not too far from Banner Elk. Here's Beech Mountain here, Seven Devils, just to give you some idea of where it's located there in Avery County. There's some varying estimates of how many acres have been burned. Avery County officials say 20 acres have been burned. The Forest Service says about 50 acres. Also, Avery County says that fire right now is uncontained. They've closed Highway 194 in that area, working right now to bring it under control.
Yeah, I've been carrying my passport all this year. And nowhere in the Constitution says that as an American citizen I had to carry my passport to show that I'm an American citizen. But because the color of my skin, my race, my accent, and I feel that they're profiling me.
That is your quote of the day from a bakery owner in Charlotte. He's talking about this. The wave of ICE raids in Charlotte and the surrounding area over the weekend. 130 people arrested, many of them caught on video. ICE says many of the people detained have a criminal history. GOP lawmakers in our state had been calling for immigration enforcement in Charlotte. And while we don't know of similar calls for raids in the Triangle area, it is possible. So we wanted to answer some of the big legal questions in this story. An immigration law attorney at UNC told me it's not so much about who can be detained or who cannot be detained and deported. It's about how the government does it. We spoke earlier today. 130 arrests in Charlotte over the weekend. Professor Jane, what concerns do you have about what's unfolding there?
I have a number of concerns regarding the scale and scope of these actions, the potential for people getting hurt, the potential for the unnecessary use of force, and also the potential for error, so citizens and non-citizens alike being swept up.
According to the top Border Patrol official, Gregory Bovino, some of these people have been arrested before for things like DUI, aggravated assault, shoplifting. Help us understand. What's the legal process for asylum seekers or people who have entered the country illegally who have been charged with a crime? Can they be kicked out of the country or detained without due process?
Sure. So let me just take a step back and say it's always been the case that the people who are here without lawful status and even people who are here legally, so someone who has followed the process and who's applied for asylum and is waiting for that application to be determined, it's always been the case that these folks could be removed after a certain process. And it's always been the case, or not always, but for at least over a decade, that anytime anyone's been arrested for anything, their immigration information's been shared with immigration enforcement officials. So I don't think this is actually about the who can be removed or who can't be removed. I think the real question these enforcement actions are raising is how can the government go about doing this? So when and whether the government can stop somebody and detain them and for no reason other than to check their immigration status. I think that's what this is really about, and it has the potential to sweep up citizens as well who, don't have their paperwork on them and who might not be able to easily prove where they're from.
Business owners, customers who are inside those businesses, what rights do they have if federal agents approach them?
Yeah, so this can actually be a really confusing question for people because in some cases, what the government is doing, what federal agents might be doing, is just asking, and the business owner might well be free to say, no thanks. I prefer that you not come in. You should just go on your way. In other cases, they might be saying we have the legal authority to enter whether or not you want us to come in or not. So I think that's the primary question that needs to be answered. And one way business owners can know is to ask that question. Is this a consent-based search, or what are you asking for here?
Some people are wondering what's to stop this from coming to Raleigh. Could these enforcement operations come to the Triangle area? And if they do, what do people need to know?
I think it's an open question as to where this might go in the future. I think that's possible that places like Raleigh or other places might also see escalated enforcement actions. And I think that my advice would be to just try to know your rights, that the rights that everybody, citizens and non-citizens alike have, to understand what the basis is for a government official who's stopping and detaining anyone. Like, what is their basis for doing that?
I think that's probably a lot of the concern that people have, is they don't necessarily know what their rights are in this current environment. And then in addition to that, they don't even know really which authority is approaching them and how they're meant to respond. Are they meant to respond differently with one authority or over another? Do you agree?
I think that's certainly a source of confusion, yes. And that's part of a lot of uncertainty, is that people, one of the consequences of not having certainty about the scope of one's rights is that people might well be chilled from engaging in a lot of socially valuable activity, like going about work, going to the grocery store, engaging with neighbors, that we want to see people engage in.
Yeah. Isha Jain, immigration law professor at UNC, really appreciate your insights. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And the Department of Homeland Security expecting to wrap things up by the end of the week in Charlotte. Brian, over to you.
Yeah, as that story was airing just then, we have confirmed with our partners at NBC News that immigration officials are on the ground now in Raleigh. That's according to Raleigh Mayor Janet Cowell in a phone call with NBC, and she expects those immigration actions to take place tomorrow. She said her office has been notified by officials with the Department of Homeland Security in the prior days, but they could not give an exact timeline. Breaking news just into the WRAL Live Center.
Wow. All right. So as the questions were being asked there, we get answers about whether or not that's going to come to Raleigh. In fact, it is. So we'll continue to cover all the developments surrounding that. You can count on us here at WRAL. Meteorologist Kat Campbell keeping an eye on the weather as we see the Raleigh Christmas parade on the horizon.
I know there's been a lot going on in this newscast, but check this out. Last year it was 38 degrees at the Christmas parade. This year it's going to be 63. Very, very warm. People may need to start rethinking their wardrobe. I don't know if you're going to want the Christmas sweaters and, the hats and gloves this year, but we are going to have to keep an eye on the chance for rain on Saturday. There are 2 chances for rain this week. One comes tomorrow night into very, very early Wednesday morning, and then the other is Friday night into Saturday. We do not have the exact hour-by-hour timeline for Saturday's rain chances. We're going to get a better feel for that Wednesday. Hopefully tomorrow we can really get a better feel for some of the trends, but just stay tuned with us throughout the week. We'll keep you up to date on Saturday. As for tomorrow night, we've got a better chance, an idea of the rain chances from this round, and it's not going to add up to a lot of rain, but during the day it is dry outside. It's not really until we get closer to midnight and the overnight hours that we would see some of the light showers swing through. Maybe an isolated shower still at 7 a.m., but it should really clear out after that on Wednesday. Saturday, it's another low pressure system with a cold front approaching from the west. Early morning, we could see some rain, and then maybe a second round later in the afternoon. And that's the one that could have some thunderstorms involved, depending on the timing of all of this. As of right now, it doesn't look like there would be a thunderstorm threat during the parade, but about a 30% chance of rain Saturday morning. It will be very warm ahead of the front. The low that morning, just 60 degrees. As for how much rain we could see, right now it doesn't look like a whole lot, a quarter of an inch or less, with some higher totals up in southern Virginia. But boy, do we need the rain. When you look at fall, so far at RDU, we are running more than 5.5 inches below normal for rainfall this fall. Average temperature, though, this has been great. We're pretty much right on par, just running 0.3 degrees below normal temperature-wise for fall today. Tomorrow, we start to warm up a bit, 65 by the afternoon, but still cold enough where you'll need your jacket in the morning. 73 Wednesday and Thursday. It looks great for the festive Bowl of Lights happening starting Thursday in Durham. That's something that's going to be happening most days through the holiday season. I'll have much more on that live from the bowls later this week. As we get into the weekend, we'll watch for that cold front to arrive.
Thank you, Kat. The National Gingerbread House Competition is back. Yes, this is a thing, and it is your one last thing after the break. One last thing, the National Gingerbread House Competition is back at the Omni Grove Inn in Asheville.
This has been a thing since 1992. They didn't do it last year because of Helene. Maybe you remember the hotel had to close while the city began its recovery from the storm. The hotel reopened in time for the holidays. The gingerbread competition was canceled.
Judging in the awards ceremony was today and then tomorrow, and people can come by, see the gingerbread masterpieces, some of the ones that made it in 2023, the last time the competition took place. One looks like a lighthouse at the Outer Banks, another looks like a 50s diner in the shape of an electric guitar. They're great.
Another is a pirate ship getting swallowed up by a kraken, and all made out of gingerbread and candy. It really is so impressive. There's up to $40,000 in cash and prizes at stake. This year's entries will be on display at the hotel through January 4th.
Again, the breaking news from earlier that ICE officials on the ground here in Raleigh. It's a big development we're on top of tonight.
I'm about to get on the phone with Raleigh's mayor. We will have the very latest from that conversation on WRAL.com, and of course, in our next newscasts at 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and 11 o'clock on WRAL. Have a great night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.